guys, I hope you've been waiting for a very long time for this moment. I know you guys, and I know I have been waiting for this moment as well, which is I'm going to finally talk about expansion 1 for the game, which is, you can see the pack. You have this awesome character here. It says Masters Pack, and it says pretty much 4 cards, villain expansion pack pretty much. It has all, pretty much this pack here is going to have all kinds of characters in here that I'll get to each week when I get a chance. But what's important though is in this pack it actually talks about a brand new concept, which is equipment cards. And that's what this week's video is going to explain about. It's going to explain about equipment cards and how they function and how they work and in that sort of fashion, okay? So let's get right to the battlefield and see how that looks like. Oh, one more thing. I forgot to mention that we're also going to be talking about one of our brand new fighters in this week's video, pretty much Ty the Samurai. And we're going to cover him right on the battlefield right now. So for the equipment card here, we have our first one ever. It's called Legendary Katana. And there's a 2 here, and then there's an equipment here, 1. So the top number 2 indicates how many turns you have to wait before you can actually use this power. And the bottom number 1 here indicates how many copies of a card you can have of a weapon. So here it says 2 turns you have to wait before you use it, and the 1 indicates you can only run 1 copy of this card. So let's see what it actually says. Only a fighter with samurai in its name comes into play with this card in your hand. So let's make sure our character has that. Well, he says Ty the Samurai, so he satisfies that condition. Thus, therefore, he can now use this ability of the equipment, which is choose a stop card on the field and send it back to the bottom of the deck. Once this card is played, remove it from the game. So that's pretty powerful, honestly. Get rid of stop cards, that's really powerful. And let's actually observe the actual character, Ty the Samurai. He's a hero. He has 56 zeal. His ability is Sword Hunter. Once per game, you can add 1 legendary katana equipment card that has been removed from the game back into your hand. So in his flavor text says, I never fight against an unarmed opponent. So that's pretty powerful. So he gets to reuse this card twice. That's pretty powerful. I think that's pretty beast. But in 2 turns he can use this. So it's like he could use the equipment in 2 turns, and he could use his power at any time, which is really good. So he comes into play, and pretty much the player has to hold this card in his hand when the game starts. The purpose of equipment cards is it gives you a little bit of an edge against your opponent since you have a card at the start of the game. So let's see what happens in this battle with Ty versus Jensen. Let's see what happens. So Jensen's going to roll first since he has 60 zeal and he's 56 zeal. So Jensen rolls a 9. And Ty the Samurai rolls a 5. So he receives 1 star and he draws a card. He drew Twister. So that indicates 1 turn has passed. So he has to wait until the end of the next turn to actually use his ability. So now Jensen rolls, he blocks, and he rolls a 5. So thus, he has met the requirement. So now 2 turns has passed. So now any red card that appears, he can now slash it with his sword. 5, Jensen rolls a 5, and Ty rolls a 9. So therefore he receives damage. He draws, oh, Tsunami. So this card goes on to the fighter, goes with the lowest deal. So therefore it goes on to Ty. But this is a perfect time for Ty to actually use either of these cards. But he'll use the sword just to slash it, and it'll go right to the bottom of the deck. And then, so then it goes to the remove pile. But then he's able to use his ability to activate at any time, but he chooses to use it now, just in case, if there's another red card that comes up. So that's how the legendary katana works, and that's how Ty the Samurai works. So I hope you guys understood how Ty the Samurai works with his equipment cards, and I hope I explained how equipment cards actually work in this game, okay? So that's all. So that's what they both do. Thank you guys for watching this week's card of Ty the Samurai and Legendary Katana. And I hope I've explained the equipment, how it functions, and it's not too hard to understand, and it's actually pretty cool to actually have an equipment at the beginning of the game. Be sure to give us a like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And check out our other videos from our previous conventions and other from our check out our previous videos to learn more about the card game, and also check out the comic book as well. It's, you know, it's pretty cool to see a series like develop its own story. Be sure to check out our comic book series, and I'll see you guys next 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about something very new and very interesting of an interesting concept called turn-based character effects. So we'll see what that looks like the following week. So take care, guys.